Hi, my name is Amy, and you're watching Channel 11 WTTW in Chicago.
The following program will be broadcast in television stereo sound here on Channel 11.
This week on Sneak Previews, Far North, an odd black comedy starring Jessica Lange and directed by Sam Shepard. And Distant Thunder with John Lithgow as a tormented Vietnam veteran and Ralph Macchio as his son. Child's Play, a horror movie about a murderous doll you don't want to take home for Christmas. I'm Jeffrey Lyons.
And I'm Michael Medved. We'll review these films plus Spike of Bensonhurst and We the Living on this Sneak Previews.
Sneak Previews is brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. What a beautiful day for bird watching. Thunderbird.
Our first film is Far North, starring Jessica Lange as a city girl who comes home to her family in the North Woods of Minnesota after her father, played by Charles Durning, has been hospitalized from an accident with his horse. Now, he begs his daughter to shoot the horse to get even for the accident, but Jessica's sister, played by Tess Harper, can't believe that she'll actually do it.
Not gonna do it, are you? You're not gonna shoot Mel?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've never shot anything before in my life. I don't even know how to shoot a gun.
Well, you can't shoot Mel. That's murder. It's not the poor horse's fault.
Of course it isn't.
I'm surprised you would even consider this, Kate.
It surprised me too, Rita. He told me I had to avenge him.
Oh, my goodness, cookies!
Katie, you're not serious about this, are you? I mean, you know how he is. He's always wanting to shoot something. As soon as something goes wrong, he wants to shoot it. Doesn't mean
He shot all our dogs.
No, Mama.
No, is this the 30-06?
I'm not telling you if it's a 30-06. Mel used to be my horse. Don't forget, I learned to ride on Mel. Don't point that thing in the house. It could be loaded. Are you crazy?
Katie, don't play with the guns in the house. We don't do that in the house.
All right, take it easy.
See this? He's always leaving loaded guns around, and you shouldn't take a chance with it.
Well, now, what's the trick to it, anyhow? I mean, you know, say somebody wanted to shoot something with it.
You mean like a horse?
How do you aim it?
You see that bead up at the end of the barrel?
Yeah?
You line that up so it's right in the middle of the back sights. That's this V thing right there.
You never even
Later, the two sisters go off in search of the runaway horse. Their father and uncle escape from their hospital beds, and they all end up wandering through the woods on one wild night.
Always looking down your nose at me and Mama and everybody else. Big city career girl.
Oh, yeah, beats living at home with Mama.
Now you have gone and gotten yourself knocked up, and you don't even have a man, do you, Kate?
Oh! Where's your man, Rita?
I don't need a man.
I'm gonna belt you. I'm gonna belt you right across the head.
Why don't you shoot me instead?
Oh, you better run, sister!
Far North is a strange, frustrating, slow-moving film, but I'm still voting yes on it because playwright Sam Shepard, in his debut as a director, here gives us such a terrific sense of place. Some of the visual images are just stunningly beautiful, and you get a rich, vibrant sense of the people and the autumn landscape around the city of Duluth. Now, even if you've never had some burning desire to visit northern Minnesota, this hauntingly beautiful film definitely makes it worth a trip.
Frustrating, strange, slow-moving, doesn't sound like a really hearty
but also
endorsement to me.
Haunting and beautiful.
Well, you can turn the sound off and look at the nice scenery, and that's undeniable, but I think you hit it right when you said playwright Sam Shepard. He is a Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, and here, that type of drama does not transfer too well to the screen. You wind up with a lot of people shrieking through the woods, and it's momentarily silly, but it really is boring, Michael. It's not worth the effort.
It definitely doesn't keep you on the edge of your seat, I grant you that. But for me, once again, the images, when you see that big, fat fat harvest moon rising up over the woods. And I think that a lot of people who love Lake Woebegone on the radio or the Prairie Home Companion, sort of this emphasis on small-town eccentrics, are going to like these people very much, find them very, very fascinating.
I think you like the cinematographer more than director Sam Shepard here. I don't think there's anybody to latch on to. The movie kind of fluctuates between being realistic and going into kind of surrealism and humor. The humor kind of moves in and out between hilarious and slapstick. In the end, we have nothing for our efforts. You have a lot of people running around firing guns off in the kitchen, maybe shooting a horse.
You're absolutely right that nothing really happens in the movie, okay?
Boy, another ringing endorsement.
No, but the fact is that the characters make it, and the characters are very interesting, and there's a wonderful family feel to the way they play together. And I think part of the reason for that is, of course, the director and the screenwriter, Sam Shepard, Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, is Jessica Lange's significant other, and then Anne Wedgeworth, who's in the film playing her mother, played her mother before in Sweet Dreams. Charles Durning played her father before, plays her father here in Tootsie, and all these people have worked together. She worked with Tess Harper in Crimes of the Heart.
You're talking about their resumes, not if all these characters come together.
I think
it
shows the comfort that they have with each other conveys a very warm, sort of cozy feeling, along with all the eccentricities that I found quite winning.
You're welcome to this beautiful travelogue, Michael. And as the sun sinks slowly on your opinion of this movie, let's move on to something completely different. Our next movie is Distant Thunder, and it stars John Lithgow as a Vietnam veteran who's never recovered from the trauma of the war and who's retreated from society, living in the rugged mountains of northern Washington state. The one thing that seems to keep him sane is the memory of his son, whom he hasn't seen in years. And here, after coming down to the city and taking work at a logging camp, he tells a friend about the boy.
How old is he?
He'll be 18 this month.
When was the last time you saw him?
About the time that was taken.
You haven't had any contact with him since?
No.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be critical.
I called him once. A few years ago, on his birthday.
What did you say?
When I heard his voice, I couldn't say anything. I hung up.
Have you ever thought about trying again?
Oh, sure, all the time.
Why don't you?
No, I'm no father. I never have been.
I bet a day doesn't go by that he doesn't think of you as his father.
What makes you so sure?
I lost my dad in Vietnam.
I'm sorry.
And later, the son, portrayed by Karate Kid's Ralph Macchio, tracks his father down to his rugged mountain retreat. But after so many years apart, the reunion doesn't go well.
That's not what I went through. I never heard a word from you. Ever. You just split. You might as well have been dead.
I know.
So I'm not going to feel sorry for you if that's what you want.
It isn't.
Well, then what then?
I want to be your father again.
I'm 18 years old. What kind of father can you be to me now?
You think just because you're 18, you don't need a father?
I need one I can trust. Not one who's going to go off and disappear on me again. You know, your whole life has been about disappearing.
Hey, come on, give me a chance.
My father? You want to be my father? Damn it, look at you. Man, I don't know. Coming here has probably been a big mistake. Maybe Mom was right. I should have just let it be. But I wanted to see you so bad.
And it wasn't a mistake.
Well, look at this place. You've never really gotten out of Vietnam, only now you're trying to drag me into it, right?
I'm trying to get out. I told you I want to get out. You're not seeing it.
Well, I am. I see it clearly.
I wrote you a letter, didn't I?
Well,
I said it, didn't I?
Big deal.
What do you think that took?
Big deal. 15 years, one damn letter. You.
Distant Thunder is one of those disturbing movies which raises undeniably important questions about the long-term after effects of the Vietnam War. It has a superb performance, as always, by Lithgow, as a good man shattered by his experiences in the war. But he and Macchio never seem to relate emotionally, and what drama there is contrived. Lithgow is a towering actor on the verge of real movie stardom. I'm one of his biggest fans. But otherwise, Distant Thunder is curiously uninvolving. It left me cold.
Jeff, you're such a nice guy. You're trying to be kind to this terrible movie. I thought it was dreadful, dreadful, embarrassing. I mean, Lithgow probably deserves a cinematic Purple Heart for the most decent performance in the one of the worst movies of the year, I thought.
Well,
Ralph Macchio's acting, as I think you could see in that scene there, the contrived business. You know in every father and son movie they're going to come to blows. And what disturbed me most about it is it pretends this great sympathy for Vietnam vets, but it actually exploits them horribly. It shows them as bloody, homicidal maniacs. The movie's rated extremely violent. I mean, we're giving it that violence rating because it's soaked in gore.
And there's another actor who is a real Vietnam vet who does this year's Jack Nicholson in Easy Rider type delivery, you know, very quirky and kind of coming in the middle of the picture, trying to divert your attention. When I say what drama there is a fight sequence that is totally preposterous. It wouldn't happen in real life. At least if it would, you're not shown it in a convincing way. And that's the only drama there is.
Yeah, and it's horribly gory.
It is so frustrating to see the work of a fine actor like John Lithgow wasted in a property like this. Physically, it's very demanding, but emotionally and intellectually, it's just not challenging.
Absolutely not. There are two good things about the movie that could be noted. I think it's a very good-looking movie. Director Rick Rosenthal, once again, the cinematography is spectacular. Well, you got to give him credit. The soundtrack, some of the sound effects, I think it may get an Oscar nomination for that because the sound effects are great. However, if anybody is foolish enough to go pay money to see this movie, they better bring some earplugs because otherwise one of the explosions may cause permanent hearing loss.
I think John Lithgow will do better films, and I hope very soon.
I certainly hope so, too. Now, our next movie is called Spike of Bensonhurst, and this one is about the adventures of an aspiring boxer from Brooklyn who gets himself into trouble when he begins dating the daughter of the local mafia don. As punishment, he's exiled from the neighborhood, but his girlfriend thinks she knows a way she can help him to stay.
I can't be exiled from Bensonhurst. That's my club. That's my turf.
Want to have sex?
My whole life collapsing in front of me. This coos wants to get a rocks off. What's the matter with you?
I know how you can stay in Bensonhurst.
Yeah? How?
Get me pregnant.
Yeah, maybe. On the way. Drive.
The mafia don and father of that rather aggressive young lady is beautifully played by Ernest Borgnine, and it turns out he actually has a soft spot for Spike. Meanwhile, our anti-hero, played by newcomer Sasha Mitchell, goes to live in a Puerto Rican neighborhood and gets involved with a beautiful Puerto Rican girl. But then his old flame from Bensonhurst comes to visit.
Is your father still mad at me or what?
Yeah.
Jesus, what a mistake I made getting involved with you. I thought he was gonna like it.
What is that supposed to mean?
It means I got to like you. What do you think it's supposed to mean? You been faithful to me all this time or what?
No.
No?
I've been going with Justin.
Oh, she tells me she's been cheating on me with this after I tell her I love her. It's great.
Look, my father wants Justin to think that the baby I'm gonna have is his.
What baby?
Your baby.
I mean, what am I, hearing things or something? What?
Daddy says you got no future, so what can I do?
Hey, this is my future. Right here.
Dad don't mind if it's your kid and everything. But Spike, you don't got a college degree, a decent automobile. You don't got nothing, Spike.
That's why she's cheating on me.
Well, have you been faithful to me?
What's that got to do with anything? You can't get away with this, Angel. They got blood tests that can tell whose kid it is. I ain't gonna let this happen, Angel.
Yeah, well, there's nothing you can do about it, Spike.
Well, the one thing I can do about it is tell you that somehow I like this odd little picture, despite its tendency toward caricature and its outrageous ethnic stereotypes. Now, the veteran underground director Paul Morrissey, who's best known probably as Andy Warhol's longtime collaborator, here has created a movie that is very much like its main character, Spike. It is flat out, in-your-face obnoxious, but you've got to respond to its earthiness and energy.
I don't know, Michael. Maybe you think all the people like me who live in New York talk like that, but for 2 hours to listen to that, it's like people who fail doing Sylvester Stallone imitations at terrible nightclubs. It is, except for Ernest Borgnine, Michael, I think there's very little to offer in this movie. It's quickly repetitive. There's nobody to like here. And to listen to 2 hours of D's, Dems, and Does is really not my idea of a good time at the movies.
I agree with you, and I even mentioned it. I think it does have offensive ethnic stereotypes. It's almost like the late Lenny Bruce, who once said, if there's any anyone in this room I haven't offended, I apologize. It's offensive to Jews, it's offensive to blacks, it's offensive to Puerto Ricans, and most of all to Italians.
Right?
No, but it's supposed to be caricature. And the fact is, what's good about it is that, first of all, you have a number of talented newcomers. I think that Sasha Mitchell is very good. Talisa Soto, who's the Puerto Rican
She's
girl,
the one to watch.
She's sensational.
She's going to be in the new James Bond picture. They give her a few close-ups there, as you saw in that scene, where it's really not important to the scene, but they know that this is somebody to watch. Aside from that, and Ernest Borgnine, who's a wonderful actor, Academy Award winner, there's very little to offer here, because what happens is it's supposed to be kind of a Romeo and Juliet thing, I guess. One guy from one side of the tracks goes against, falls in love with the wrong girl, the one he's not supposed to.
Yeah, but
it is silly.
But it's
contrived.
all bright colors and earthiness, and I will say Paul Morrissey does something that's very interesting. This is a very sexy movie. A lot of sex is talked about, but interestingly, you never see any of it for once.
Right.
You never even see clinches or kisses, and I think he's making an important point here, which I hope some other filmmakers will pay attention to, which is that you can be very sexy in movies today, even today, without being graphic.
You sure you're not confusing sexy with vulgar, Michael? I think it's a bit of titillation. I just think there's nothing to offer here. I think some of the acting is amateurish, especially in the presence of Ernest Borgnine. I think there's a great contrast here that's not worth the effort.
A flawed movie with interesting elements.
Talk about left-handed compliments. Well, our next movie is called Child's Play. Now, this one is not to be confused with the movie of the same title of a decade ago. This one stars Catherine Hicks. She plays a widowed mother who buys a strange doll for her son. This toy is the current rage among kids, and it seems to have amazing powers of speech.
A good guy! I knew it! I knew you'd get me one.
Show me how he works, okay?
Hi, I'm Andy. What's your name? Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end. Heidi-ho.
But little does she know that a dead murderer's soul has been mysteriously transposed into the doll's body, and that whenever she leaves the room, the doll is saying some terrible things to the child.
Chucky, he's sitting right over there.
Chucky's been talking to you too, hasn't he? What's he been saying?
All kinds of things. His real name is Charles Lee Ray, and he's been sent down from heaven by Daddy to play with me.
Has he? Anything else?
Yes. He said Aunt Maggie was a real bitch and got what she deserved.
And how can you say something so horrible?
I didn't say it, Chucky did.
Andy, stop it. You know perfectly well that you're making this up.
But I'm not. Chucky's alive. Really, he
Andy,
is.
Chucky's a doll. He's made of plastic and stuffing. Look at him, look at him. Now, does he look like anything else to you, huh?
Don't, you'll hurt him.
Andy, look. Now, you don't really think that Chucky is alive, do you?
But he is.
Andy, stop it.
As dead bodies begin to turn up, she gets suspicious and tries to find out how special this doll really is.
Wanna play?
Talk about batteries not included. I've never been one for horror movies beyond The Exorcist and A Nightmare on Elm Street here and there. But Child's Play is campy and hokey and scary in a mindless sort of way. The special effects of that annoying little doll are convincing, and Catherine Hicks is extremely effective as the terrified mother. So, horror fans and the rest of us a bit closer to sanity, I think should be entertained.
Not only entertained, I think scared out of our wits. You know, Jeff, I must be getting soft in my old age. Here is yet another film that I liked and yet another agreement with you. This, I think, is one of the most frightening movies of the year, partially because it plays on what we all wanted when we were little kids, right? Didn't you want... I used to have a little stuffed rabbit that I used to pretend that it was really alive. Bunny. You know, nothing imaginative, right? And I used to pretend that Bunny could actually talk and it was alive, and I would tell people, and everybody has that. But here, the kid gets his wish, the doll is alive, but it is murderous, and that makes for real terror.
Well, for one thing, the difference is I think this horror movie is one that appeals to an older audience, an adult audience, not in the way that other movies just dripping with gore. There is a lot of violence here, but not in the way some of those dumb Friday the 13th slasher movies do. I think Catherine Hicks is a wonderful underrated actress. She was good in Peggy Sue Got Married. She was good in Star Trek 4. I think she should be a much bigger star. I think she's very convincing. You can like her. Little boy, Alex Vincent, has to go through some scenes. I'd never let my son be in a horror movie like this. Even telling the child that this is only a movie, I think it has Brad Dourif, who's a very good actor, chilling as the killer, and it's got Sir Chris Sarandon as the police officer. Good cast. A lot of things going.
And the doll itself, the special effects, when it starts going, which is much more than you see there toward the end of the film, is very well done. But what he does, Tom Holland, is a very skilled director, is he doesn't overwhelm you with those dazzling special effects. The whole first part of the film